Hello again. June 16th, 1815, on the fields of Quatre and Ligny. It's going to be a pretty quick catch up today. We've got to the end of the 7 p.m. turn. If you're familiar with the way that the turn sequencing is constructed, you basically, after each activation, you roll a 2d6, and if you exceed a number, typically about 10, that will signify the end of the first phase of the turn. Then you get a second go, and when that's triggered again, which typically happens more easily, then that ends the turn, the end of the hour on that particular battlefield. And those numbers, they start to decrease at the sort of 7 or 8 p.m. turn. So the last couple of turns, the 8 and 9 p.m. turn, I'm expecting to be shorter than the turns that have been taking place up to this point. But having said that, Quatre has, I think, stabilised now for the Allies. There was a final lunge by Rye's second corps, and they managed to cause some grief to Picton's division. But Alton and Cook have filled the gaps really, and they're just trying to possibly take back Jumièncourt, which is worth 10 VPs. Collert's Dutch cavalry are supporting the Brunswickers. They've taken a Paramount, that's now under the command of the Brunswick infantry. Kellerman's on map. He's moved across to try and cover the threat from Collert and Brunswick. They don't really have the spare infantry, so they may have to yield some ground on their right flank. I think historically, as the evening started, I think the numbers on the battlefield were something like 25,000 French to about 40,000 on the Allied side, and that starts to feel about right now. So I think it's trying to do a sort of damage limitation exercise for Ney, try and hold on to what he can. Other points of interest, moving across to, the other thing I meant to mention was that dust cloud, which they thought might be D'Erlon, wasn't D'Erlon. So he got within range of Ney at the end of the 6 p.m. turn, and it was nothing but smoke and mirrors. So that was really the end of Ney's ambitions to follow through with the orders to drive on up to Brussels. Just hasn't got the resources. Meanwhile, at Ligny, Mouton, who I believe is also known as Le Bao in some games, but in this game he's labelled as Mouton. He has successfully entered. And they're moving up now to assist Gérard's 4th Corps in trying to capture Ligny, because the Prussians still have 5 of the 7 flags, which is a bit of a worry, because that's a net 30 VPs a turn, which they're chalking up, and of course the French have now got to pay for the 6th Corps. And just at the end of turn 7, the decoy counter, which may or may not have been D'Erlon, has got within 3 hexes of the target hex. The Usine Ancien, forget the exact name, show it to you later. Rolled a 2d6, got a 7, and that put him exactly 3 hexes away, at which point, using the house rule, the counter slipped over, and it was indeed D'Erlon. So under this rule, on the 7 p.m. turn, that's going to cost the French 80 victory points, coupled with the I think 40 for Mouton. So what's that, 120 VPs? But they've got to achieve quite a lot to make that pay. The Prussians are still firmly in Ligny, but Van Damme has cleared both Saint-Amand and Saint-Amand-la-Haye. The Prussians' first corps, I think, was defending that area. They're close to becoming demoralised, and Van Damme is pushing on through. So, a bit of a concern there. And Thielmann, who had a lot of success against Gerard's right flank, Milhaud's heavy cavalry launched a large charge, and quite a few of the Prussians have got fairly challengeable morale in the sort of 6s and 7s, and I think they've got some guys that are now routing back up towards Namur. And on the extreme right hand side, Pajol is still awaiting orders. He could start moving with independent movement, but because the turns are contracting in terms of the number of activations you can expect, I think that those precious activations are better spent elsewhere. So I don't know what's going to happen in terms of the VPs. I think the Quatre is more predictable. That's probably going to go for another Allied marginal, I think. And on the face of it, although the Prussian position is now collapsing, I think if they get some orders, it might be time to sort of exercise discretion, better part of valour and all that, and just start to withdraw, just to save troops, because step losses do count as victory points. And if they can survive a couple of quick turns relatively intact, then the additional cost of Delon and Mouton coming on, and the fact they've managed to hold on to some of the flags for the best part of the day, that may let them bank enough VPs. So I just don't know yet. Very keen to find out. I think that's probably about it. So I hope to finish this off next week. And I was thinking I may even do at some point my favourite top 10 war games video, and I suspect this will probably appear somewhere in that list. Anyway, let's have a look at the map. So looking at the map, starting at Quatre, we can see Collert's cavalry. The Allies paid for the additional units, which I think was about 40 victory points, compared to the 30 that Kellerman had to pay for the missing part of his corps. I think that was right. So pretty much on par there. But Pyramont is, you can see that's the key location there. That's worth VPs. And if these guys can drive down this road, if that brings them back to the Ferme del Sol down here, that's worth another 10. So they've got 2 turns in which to do it. Might not quite manage that, but they can still threaten the farm at Gimignoncourt. It's currently occupied by the 108th Line Regiment of the French. And here we can see Cook's Guard Division, Alton's 3rd Division, the remnants of Paponchet's troops, and a few of them are skedaddling up the road towards Brussels. Sweeping across towards Ligny, there is Delon. It's the yes, that's the, I couldn't think of the name on the chat, the Ancienne Usine de Chassart. So he was just within 3 hexes, so he had to deploy. I'm just clarifying with Richard whether once he deploys he's given a free order, or can he be given a long range order. If it's a free order, he's going to go for there, because that's about 13 away. If he gets a chance for a long range order, he'll be going here, Ortoir Beret, and that's a flag, so that would be useful. And then of course you've got the other exit to Wavre, and that's also worth points, about 50, so he could more than pay for his cost. Also potentially, of course, threatening any retreat path for the Prussians, who, as you can see, are now struggling. Saint-Amand, Saint-Amand-de-Hay both cleared. Blucher did actually lead a cavalry charge this turn. He also took the risk to engage, and they did manage to rout some of the French who Napoleon rallied, but the position there is looking a little bit untenable, so it might be time just to pull back the line, try and hold on to the 2 flags in Ligny for as long as possible, and just save what we can. Can't really afford to engage, especially with the Guard now threatening to push on. The Guard didn't move on the 7 PM turn, so I think they'd have probably moved next had the gods of dice allowed it. Gérard's been forced to drop back out of Ligny. His corps looking pretty mullered. Milhau supporting him, probably saving his a lot of his troops. Exelmans hasn't done a great deal, and there's Thielmann, but he's got some troops which have decided that they would rather be heading back up, and I think that's routed cavalry, so they may be disappearing. They count half losses if you rout off the map. The strength points are going to be halved for working out victory points. And there's Bajol in his standoff. So 2 turns to go. Be interesting to do the final tally on the victory points. Not really sure what's happening at Ligny. Got a much better idea at Quatre, but to be continued.